Seat height, everything's got to be set. I got to come off freeze. Let's get this position. I want to situate the canopy visor about a fist distance below the horizon. All right, that's the right seating height. So right here is right for me. I do not know why this thing does not want to line up. Okay, so the before takeoff checklist. I would compute my minimum power at 60 knots for 2992 on the altimeter and about 40 degrees. I would be looking at about 100% on torque at 60 knots. That's the first step in the checklist. Next thing I'm going to check is my speed brake is retracted, my flaps are set for takeoff. They are. My trim is set for takeoff. My fuel quantity is good and balanced at about 1,100 pounds. Engine instruments are green and white, no red. My volts are 27.6. My amps are 0. They should be positive. That's a simism thing. Okay? And then my defog switch is off. My vent controller is foot. The before takeoff checklist is complete. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a radio call to the tower. I pull up from where I'm at in parking until I'm just prior to that yellow and black dash line that's called the hold short line. I'll pull up there and I'll stop. I'll clear final and I'll make the radio call. I clear final so that I'm not making a radio call when there's an airplane about to touch down. All right? And it'll be Aggie 11 holding short of 15 right, ready for departure. The air traffic controller will come back and say, Aggie 11 on departure, fly runway heading, climb and maintain 3000, clear for takeoff 15 right. I will say, Aggie 11, clear for takeoff 15 right, climb maintain 3000. All right, panel and final are clear. I will then go through the lineup checklist. Probes are on, TAS is on, lights are on, altimeter is set, or the ATC transponder set to altimeter, and then nose wheel steering. Okay, I can't do nose wheel steering because of the sim. Clear one more time, give it some power, get it moving. And I'm going to try to taxi on that line if this airplane will ever move. It does not want to. This is not normal for the sim. Come on. You can do it. Why are we not moving? Parking brake is not on. Okay, so we obviously have a problem. Stand by 1 second.
Oh, Wolverine.
Yes, sir.
Me and Samuel found out that you can do the pin in the bottom.
You can do the what?
The rings,
And
the
ejection.
yeah.
For the ejection seat. No kidding. Weird. All right, I'm going to try this. I hope I got the right one. We'll try it one more time.
You can take it out, but you can't pull it.
Sadly.
Can't put it back in.
No.
You can put it back in, but you just can't pull the ejection seat.
Okay. Not moving. Go through the checklist again real quick. See, the brakes are not holding, and I don't know why. That's weird. But again, that's a simism thing. All right, so TAS, probes, lights, alt, nose wheel steering, panel and final to clear. Let's give it some power. We'll plow it to the runway. Hopefully it will move.
Is the parking brake on?
Nope.
Alright, everybody is getting the permission slip for the championship event.
Okay.
There are 3 papers here. The second paper is the most important one. So if you'll look at it real fast with me. There's highlighted material. The purpose of this is anybody that wants to watch you or
Stop the
attend this
recording.
event.
Go ahead and start recording. All right, I don't know what that was. Parking brake was holding, so again, I'm going to pull up to the hold short line and make that radio call, and then we get moving here. Hopefully, it's going to let me go.
There it goes. There it goes.
That's in the position, and because it's the sim, it's going to go really, really fast. So I'm clearing one more time. Try and pull out here and see if we can do this. Line up on the runway. Remember, for an instrument takeoff, a static takeoff is required. We don't want to use up any more of the runway than we have to, so we're going to try to line up on that white line as quickly as possible. All right. Get centered up. Pump up the brakes, hold them, push the power up to 30%. Look outside, make sure you're not moving when this happens. 30% engines are green and white. Here we go. Feet come to the floor. I'm using the rudders to keep myself centered. I've got max power. And I'm looking for 60 knots to check and see if I've got 100% torque. I do. So I'm going to wait to 85 knots and I'm going to rotate. I'm going to put that spinner on the horizon initially. And I'm going to check for climbing. Good engine, gear clear. Gear will come up, flaps come up. He said runway heading to 3,000. The handle's up, the lights are out, the flaps are up at 140 knots. And now I'm just going to hold about 10 to 15 degrees nose high to get 160. And I'm going up to 3,000 feet. I'm checking my VSI. It's right now at about 2,000 feet per minute. So about 200 feet prior, I'm going to level off by cutting my pitch picture in half. So remember, 1 to go. At 1,000 feet to go, you make a mental note that you got to start paying attention to your altimeter and your VSI. You're still looking at everything else, but you're trying to make darn sure that you've got everything else wired. So here comes 200 feet to go. I'll cut my pitch picture in half to 5 degrees nose high. And then I'll finish the level off by lowering the nose and setting my pitch first. I'm going to let the airplane accelerate to 200 knots. And when I get there, I'm going to set 50 plus my altitude, 52%, to hold 200 knots clean. All right, now right about this time, the air traffic controller is going to tell me, Aggie 101, turn right heading 240. He said right, so I'll clear with my head first. I'll start a 30-degree bank turn, and I'll repeat that call. Right 240, Aggie 101. He hasn't told me anything about my altitude, so all I need to do is worry about that heading right now, and my altimeter and my airspeed. So my eyes are going ADI heading, ADI altimeter, ADI heading, ADI VSI, ADI altimeter, ADI HSI. I'm still looking to make sure, because it's clear outside, I'm looking for traffic. About 5 degrees prior, I'm going to roll out so that I can roll out right on heading and on altitude. Remember, when you roll out, don't keep the stick back, because you guys have a tendency to climb. I'm going to count to about 30. What I'm doing is gaining separation on the runway. I'm turning what we call crosswind right now, 90 degrees to the runway. That green HSI line approximates the runway. You know, it's a good visual reference for where the runway is. All right. That's about 30 seconds. Aggie 11, turn right, heading 330, maintain 3,000. Right 330, 3,000, Aggie 11. All right, 30 degrees of bank is established. I'm checking altimeter and VSI. My VSI is a leading instrument. It's going to tell me if I'm climbing or descending before everything else does. My power set slightly high, 54%, but it's holding 200 knots. I'm looking for 330. 330. Remember, en route altitude control is plus or minus 200 feet. So I want to try and keep it right in the sweet spot there. There's 330. I'm on radar downwind. This is where I start getting ready for my approach. The sim does not let us use a DME hold function. Typically we would hit the middle button on the radio stack called DME hold, and it would keep the DME from 112.3. And then I would go through what we call the lids check. My localizer, 111.3, is in the standby. My inbound course, 145 for the ILS, is set. My display is set the way I want it. The HSI is showing VOR. And speeds, I'd be at 200 right now, getting ready to slow down on radar base. All right, if you look at the white bearing pointer, do you guys see the white bearing pointer? Right now it's on a heading of about 4045, and it's falling. When it's on a heading of 060, I'm abeam the runway midfield. And you can look to your right and see that. In the actual sim competition, you're going to be in the clouds. You won't be able to see any of this. All right, that lids check, I can't do the localizer yet because I don't have a GPS to show me where the runway is, and I need the DME off of Randolph's VOR. So I'm gonna have to do this all at once on radar base, but typically I would do this right now. I would get that checklist done. All right, Aggie 1-1, descend to main 2,200. 2,200 Aggie 1-1. So when I descend, I want to hold 200 knots. I'll set 20% and 5 degrees nose low. And that will get me heading down to 2,200 feet. And it should hold me at 200 knots. I pulled the power a little too much, and it doesn't look like the sim wants to use the airplane power settings. It looks like it's about 27% or so. All right, 100 to go. I'm going to cut that pitch picture in half. I'm going to add power so I don't slow down on the level off. There's 5,200. Now if you look at that white bearing pointer needle, it's almost at the bottom 45 degree index. I'm approaching a point where I'm 45 degrees off of the runway. And what I'm trying to do is get ready to turn to the right. I'm going to do that at about 13 DME. I'm at 6.8 right now. I'm holding 2,200 feet. My eyes are just rolling around these instruments to make sure I'm doing what I need to do. 7.4 waiting on 13. That is a good habit to get into. Kind of keep a mental clock of where you're at. I'm at 7.6, waiting on 13, 2,200 feet, 200 knots. When that bearing pointer, the head of the white bearing pointer, is at about 130, I should be pretty close to 13 DME-ish. Now, a lot of stuff is going to happen very quickly here, and a lot of that is the sim because I can't get things set up at the same time. There's a checklist that should happen called the before landing checklist, and that's when I'm going to end up putting the gear and flaps down once I get established on final here. And I have to do that prior to 8.5 miles, I think is what it is for the fix, the final approach fix. We can look that up afterwards, I'll talk you through it. He's going to give me a turn to the right to a heading of 060. That's 90 degrees to the runway. So I'm anticipating the next thing that's going to happen is he's going to turn me perpendicular to the runway on what we call a radar base. Right now it's just task management. I'm just making sure everything is ready to go. My decision height is 961, so I'd review the instrument approach plate and make sure I know when I have to make a decision to either land or go around. We'd call that missed approach. I'm a little bit low because I forgot to watch my pitch. Here comes 13. I'm waiting on that radio call. Aggie 1-1, turn right, heading 060, maintain 2,200 till established. Right, 060, 2,200, Aggie 1-1. All right, I know I'm on a base. All right. I know that the final approach fix is roughly about 8 miles, so I want to be able to slow down before that. He's going to give me one more turn, and it's going to be a heading of about 12 to 130. I know that because he's required to keep me within 30 degrees of the center of the runway whenever he makes the turn. So right here, I'm going to have to depart from what we typically do, and I'm going to have to use the localizer. I switch the radios, and I'm waiting for that call to turn. I don't have a VOR bearing pointer. I have no idea where that runway is, so I'm going to have to just make an educated guess here. We went about 30 seconds out. Aggie 1-1, turn right, heading 120, maintain 2,200 till established on a segment of the approach, cleared the ILS 15 right approach. Right, 120, maintain 2,200 till established, cleared the approach, Aggie 1-1. Okay, the localizer is active. Do you see the green CDI needle moving? So instead of rolling out on that heading, I'm just gonna continue to turn until I can capture that localizer, that CDI needle centered. And I know that it's time to slow way down here. I've got to get slowed and configured prior to glide slope intercept. I don't want to descend, but I want to slow down to get my gear down on my flaps at takeoff. I've got to trim in the airplane, and I've got to keep this airplane slowing down and don't descend. I'm looking at two things here. Okay, airspeed is 150, gear clear. Gear comes down, flaps go to takeoff. Power comes up to about 35%. I don't want to climb. Handles down, 3 gear and flaps are at takeoff. Speed brakes retracted, brakes are checked. And that should be the before landing checklist. Now what I'm trying to do is I'm going to go get the CDI. If the CDI is to my left, I'm going to go get it. If it's to my right, I'm going to go get it. I want to make small heading changes. You see the yellow heading bug? Anybody see the yellow heading bug on the HSI?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I want to try to keep my heading changes really small and inside that. I'm looking for 110 knots right now. I'm trying to slow and hold my altitude. Once I get to 110 knots, I should be able to set about 32% power and about 3 degrees nose high to hold altitude. Okay, the CDI is centered, the glide slope is not moving yet. Here comes my airspeed. I'd rather be 5 knots fast, so I'm gonna set that at 32% at about 115 on my airspeed. I'm low, I've gotta correct that, so I've gotta add some power so I don't get slow. I do not wanna be low on the approach. There's 22, I'd rather be at 2250. If I can do it. So now that I'm at my altitude, I'll reset my power. I'm a little fast, but I'm waiting on that green caret on the right side of the ADI. You see where it says GS? Yes, no, anybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, do you see the green caret starting to descend? See that green caret dropping down? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, I'm waiting for that thing to touch the center line on the ADI. When it does, I've intercepted glide slope, and I'm just going to set 1 degree nose low or line on line, we'll see how it works in the sim, and about 22% power. And that should hold me at 105 knots. I'm sorry, 110 knots. I'm just waiting, patiently waiting. Aggie 1-1, final approach, fix gear down, full stop. Aggie 1-1, winds are 150 at 5 knots, cleared to land, runway 15 right. Cleared to land 15 right, Aggie 1-1. Okay, here comes glide slope capture. I'm gonna lower the nose to line on line and set about 22% power. 22, 23, 24. I'll set it initially, I'll forget it for a second, I'll look at airspeed, see what it's doing. And I'm just trying to go get the CDI. Go get the caret. Look at my altitude. I know that at 961 feet, I either have to go around in a missed approach or make a decision to land. That's why it's called a decision height. Real small changes, small, smooth changes. Do you see how the CDI is centered? And the caret on the glide slope is centered, and my airspeed's 105, roughly 112. Sorry, 112. All right, I'm getting a little bit right. So I'm gonna go get the CDI. And the closer I get, the more sensitive it becomes, so the smaller the changes are. All right, 1500 for 961. Keep rolling that number through your head, 961, 961. The glide slope's going up, so I gotta go up to catch it. Localizer centered, glide slope centered, 1300 for 961. I gotta make a decision at 961. Localizer's going to the left, I'll go get it a little bit. Glide slope's going up, I'll go get it. Okay, line on line. Line on line, 1200 for 961. Localizer's to the left, I'll go get it. Glide slope's going down, I'll go get it. Small changes, Just think the movement in your hand. Don't really move. There is 980, 960. I look up, I see the runway. Now I'm going to transition to a visual, and I'm going to land beyond the captain's bars. My aim point is the captain's bars. I pulled power too fast. You can see I'm low and sinking. So I'm trying to hold the center line. I'm going to shift to level flight, bring the power to idle, and then flare it off. Now, as I come to a slower airspeed, I don't need brakes, but I'm going to check them just to make sure they're working, right? And then I would roll out to whichever taxiway I want to go to. And right about here, the instructor says, hey, you've got fire coming out of the front of the airplane. So I would bring the aircraft to a stop. I would go PCL off, firewall shut-off handle pull. And at this point, the evaluator should say, that's the end of the scenario. Questions?